I promised I would never start off a commentary by saying this, but I've done this like 4 times now, and I just want to get this straight. So I'm going to be in... Well, thank you for joining in, by the way. It's Bring Your Platoon here. Welcome to another great game of World of Tanks, Xbox One Edition. There you go. Said that. Let's get that out of the way. This thing is the AMX M454. It's the Tier 10 heavy tank on the second line for the French heavy tanks. It's got frontal armor. I'm not going to even... Just roll with it. Okay. 220 millimeters thick on the... I'm just going to tell you the nominal armor thickness all around. Upper plate, 320 millimeters thick if you're not angling it at all. The lower plate is like 287 millimeters thick, and then the lower plate is 260 millimeters thick. Angling that around a corner as you should. The upper plate is phenomenal. Still being able to shoot the enemy with your gun. The upper plate is 360 millimeters thick, roughly. And the lower plate, that flattish part in the very tip-top front of the tank, is like 300 and... Let's angle that a little bit more. There we go. It's like 320 millimeters thick, still being able to contest fellow heavy heat rounds or APCR rounds being flung at your tank. And then the lower plate is still vulnerable to heat rounds, but it's like 280 millimeters thick. So if you get hull down, you don't have to worry about the lower plate. And the upper plate is very good protection indeed. But the thing about this tank is, it's not... It's worth it in the sense to go up a tier because it's essentially the Tier 9, and the Tier 9 is great. However, the PC stats for this thing are a lot better than they gave the console one. It's very saddening, and let me just go down them for you. Okay, so the 120mm gun, of course, I don't use the 130mm on this thing, but I'll go into that later. 120mm gun is 0.35 dispersion on console, aim time of 1.8, penetration for the standard AP rounds are 264, and then the premium APCR rounds have a penetration of 315. Not terrible, but definitely workable. Just, it's not, you know, up to par with other heavies, but that's fine. It's a super heavy, whatever. Also fun for ramming things. I can't tell you that enough. Its top speed is 40 kilometers an hour on flat ground. Reaches it very quickly, or semi-quickly. And its reverse speed is 50 kilometers an hour. Or 15, sorry. But yeah, PC stats say 2.32 dispersion for the Tier 10 gun for the 120mm, and console gets 0.35 dispersion. What kind of horseshit is that? Why is there no improvements to the gun besides DPM wise? Like, I have the rammer, the vents, and the brothers in arms on, and that's 9 seconds, and with what is it, croissants and whatever the fuck the French has for the food consumable, you get like 8.64 is your reload time. Should it not be 10% of 9? Well, I guess that's for the overall reloading time. So yeah, it would be a little lower. Never mind. Scratch that. Moving on. So this thing's a buffed up, an armor buffed Tier 9, basically. So for that reason, I would say it's not worth going up in tier, or going to Tier 10 and playing the AMX M454 instead of the AMX M451, just because it doesn't get like good gun stats like it should have. But it's fast, and I enjoy it, and the derp gun actually has, you know, the alpha making it worth the drop in penetration, whereas on the Tier 9 tank gun, the 127mm quote-unquote derp gun gets 247 pen with 270 premium pen, and you deal 470 alpha every shot on average, while the 130mm you deal 560 alpha damage every shot, and your reload is like 12 or 13 seconds or something like that. Not terrible, especially considering they're putting that gun on a heavy. And as long as you hit your targets, the reload will not bother you because you're trading, you know, big tank destroyer tier 9 damage for regular 400 alpha damage towards yourself. Assuming you're, of course, facing other heavies. If you're facing big tier 9 and tier 10 tank destroyers, they'll premium through your upper plate. And I believe the T-95 only went through because he's got 276 penetration, and I was facing him flat on with no angle. And I believe he penned my lower plate. It was like a 50-50 whether he'd go through, and he did. I didn't think... I thought he was an idiot, so I thought I would shoot at his lower plate while he was, you know, up in the air. Then he fell down and penned me, and I was like, okay, cool. But, yeah, that kind of surprised me. But it's a tank destroyer, so what do you want? They're called that for a reason. So, yeah, you should never have that kind of issue with a heavy. A heavy will have trouble penning you with standard ammunition in this thing, even flat on. It's pretty funny. As soon as you turn the turret, you give enemies a chance to shoot at your weakened sides. The very ass end of this turret is like 90 millimeters thick, and then the middle of it's like 100 or something. Let me just look at it. I don't know why. I'm just guessing here. Yeah, okay, so it goes from 220 in the very front in the side of the turret, and then it goes from to 120 in the middle, or I guess that's still technically the front, because if you cut the turret in half from a bird's eye view, the rest of the tank is 80 millimeters to 60 millimeters thick in the side. It's pretty garbage, so don't get shot in the side. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I finish off that Death Star to enable my team to not be scared for their lives, because I know he fired, and that was my chance to take him out. And I kind of tunnel-visioned, didn't realize there was an object 140 to the side there. I got bipped into the side of my tank, and that wasn't good, but I managed to kill the Death Star before I was dealt a fatal blow. So that's good. I wasn't dealt a fatal blow, but chances are I should have been, because that chieftain bounced off my roof instead of penning the turret, or instead of penning the hatch on the turret. So that's good. I go to kill the chieftain, and I think another tank beats me to it. Yep, there we go. Yag Tiger takes him out. Really good tank destroyer. That Yag Tiger 3 marked it. Very good tank. And then what do you do when you're a light tank on the enemy team, facing down 2 heavies, a medium, and a tank destroyer to win the game? What do you do? When you're unspotted and nobody knows where you are, what do you do in World of Tanks? Wait for it. Wait for it. You fucking kill yourself! Of course! Why didn't I think of that sooner? It's almost like he's an arty player. Whoa. Shots fired. I know not all arty players are like that, but Jesus Christ. Okay, so, yes, I was slinging some premium rounds there. Didn't make a lot of money even with a premium account. But I also used my repair kit, and I believe my large med kit. I don't remember. But that's an Ace Tanker Mastery, a whole 8,000 damage combined, which isn't bad. But I love the tank. If you feel like going to the tier 10 for the armor buff, by all means go for it. It's a lot more reliable than the tier 9 armor. But tier for tier, the tier 9 is better, just because you're using the same gun as the tier 10 gets. And just don't use the derp gun and you're fine. So, yeah. Tier 10 is better for facing tier 10s just because of more armor, but the tier 9, if you face tier 7s and 8s, and your top tier, I don't know. It's an argument that I'm not willing to make at this time, just because there's a lot of different factors that go into it. But I can't wait for them to fix those gun stats, because they fucking better. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Thank you for enjoying my rambling. There we go. And I'll catch you next time.